Hi everyone, welcome back. Now, this week I want to talk about the turning or tilting of your neck and how it can promote or discourage certain movements throughout the swing. This can be very vital for certain players, and it's something that not a lot of people think about just because people are told or believe that they have to keep their head very, very still. But this is not totally true, and if you are someone that's looking for a missing piece to help them make a certain change or is looking for some way to gain more mobility, then this concept can really help. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, and if you are visiting my channel for the first time, please subscribe to see more golf-related content. So for the longest time, everyone's been told to keep their head very, very still throughout the whole swing. And yes, this is true to a certain extent, but when people refer to you keeping your head very still, what they mean is that you want to limit a lot of lateral, right and left movement of the head throughout the swing. So a lot of people that have this issue or do tend to move too much right and left with their head will have a harder time distributing their weight correctly, and also they'll have a harder time striking the same place on the ground. Now, for the majority of players out there, when they think about keeping their head very still, what I often see is that they try to keep their face or their neck almost frozen throughout the swing, which is also not ideal. And it's not ideal because it can limit the range of motion in the body throughout the swing. So when they make a swing, they often look like this. Right? You can see that there's not enough rotation, there's not enough tilts, and not enough extensions. And they also kind of utilize too much of their arms throughout the swing. And another comment that I hear from these type of players is that when they do actually try to add more rotation while keeping their neck very frozen, it feels almost too strenuous for them to do so, and they feel strain kind of in their neck and basically throughout their whole body. However, what people are not realizing is that it is completely normal for you to turn and tilt your neck throughout the swing without it having to move too much to the right or to the left. Now, some players do this, turn or tilt their neck incorrectly, which can further hinder their ability to move their bodies correctly. As you watch my golf swing here in slow motion, you'll see that I do have a gentle turning and tilting of my neck in the backswing and in the follow through without my head moving too excessively from right to left. So I'm going to go over 3 common tendencies that I see with a lot of players, and then just go over some basic feels that you guys could try and apply to help solve these things. So I'm also going to position the camera closer and a bit higher just so you can see or have a better visual as to what's happening. So the first mistake that I'm seeing is when a player makes their backswing, they actually turn their face or their neck more into their lead shoulder as they turn their body, or more into the target. And you can try this at home, and you'll find that as you turn your face into your lead shoulder and as you turn your shoulders the opposite way, you'll feel a bit of strain in your neck, and you'll feel that it's more difficult to actually rotate the body just because you basically are just turning against your neck. So when this type of player gets to the top of their backswing, they often look like this, right? You can see that my shoulders aren't really rotated enough. Okay, and it's very difficult for these players to build in more rotation. So what you'd want to train yourself to do is actually turn your face or your neck more so with your turns. So it should look more like this as opposed to this. Now you can try this at home as well, but you'll find that if you gently turn your face with your turns, you'll find that it should feel much easier to open up the chest. Now, I'm just going to draw a line down the lead side of my head or the edge of my head, and this can also be represented by like a door frame or something that you can use at home. So you just place your head against that door frame. Now, with that line there, or with your head against the door frame, what you'd want to feel is your face turning more away from the door frame as opposed to into the door frame or that line. So if you are a player that has struggled with building in enough rotation in the upper body, then this could be the missing piece that you need in order for you to finally physically add more rotation. So the second mistake that I'm seeing is that a player would actually tilt their neck too much into their lead shoulder or towards the target. So their lead ear would get closer to their lead shoulder as they make their backswing.
Now, it's important to note that as you tilt your head to the side, you'll encourage more tilt into that side. So you can see my lead shoulder moves down. And also, as you get further into your backswing, you'll demonstrate too much upper body extension. So you can see that my chest will also point too excessively upwards. And a lot of the times, these players, as they get to the top or as they complete their backswing, they'll get their bodies in what's called a reverse pivoted position. So that's when their upper body is actually positioned more into the target relative to their lower body. Now, the solution to this issue can be a little bit tricky just because when I physically maneuver a player's head or hold their head in the right place, they often feel as though they're moving their head off the ball to the right. Okay, so if they're used to their neck tilting into the left, and then I get them to feel as though their neck is tilting more rightwards, I'm here to tell you that literally your head wouldn't be moving off to the right, but it just feels that way because your eyes are in a different place. So when a player tilts their neck left, their eyes actually move more to the left side of the ball or in front of the golf ball. Now, when you tilt your neck the other way, your eyes kind of are positioned more behind the golf ball. So it'll feel like your head's moving off the ball, but in reality, it's kind of still in the same place. So often when a player feels like they're moving off the ball like that, they feel like they're doing something wrong. So the best way to solution this problem is to actually feel as though you're turning your face more to the right. Okay, and just being focused on where your eyes are moving relative to the ball. So I'm going to use that same reference line on the lead side of my face. Now, I feel like adding like a gentle turn in the neck and just paying attention to where your eyes move is better than telling someone to kind of tilt their neck the other way because it's very difficult for them to kind of feel that. It feels super, super uncomfortable. So focusing on those two things, the gentle turning and then where your eyes are moving, is just a better way to discourage your lead ear from kind of moving downwards too much. So with that line there, or if your head's against the door frame, the lead side of your head's against that door frame, you want to focus on your face turning away from that door frame or that line, and you want to feel as though your eyes are moving to the right of the ball. Okay, so if you can do that, then it should discourage or ensure that your head does not tilt too excessively into the lead shoulder. So when you're able to kind of get your neck to be bent in the right position or discouraging your neck from tilting too much into the lead side, that will discourage the lead shoulder from dropping too much in the backswing. It'll also discourage your chest from extending too excessively. So you should feel that by the time you get to the top of your backswing, if you've turned your neck and you moved your eyes to the right, it should feel as though your chest is pointed or feels like it's pointed more downwards. It may also feel like your lead shoulder moves more straight across to the right as opposed to down and to the left. So the third mistake is when a player tilts their neck too much into their trail side, kind of like this. So that means that their trail ear will move closer towards their trail shoulder. Okay, so this would be the opposite issue as to mistake number two. So everything that I mentioned from mistake number two is just the opposite, right? So if you tilt your head into your trail shoulder too much, that's going to encourage you to kind of actually raise your lead shoulder too high, so you won't demonstrate enough tilt when you make your backswing. Also, when you get to the top of your backswing with your neck tilted too much to the trail side, your upper body will demonstrate too much flexion. So you'll see that the upper body is actually pointing more downwards, and you won't demonstrate enough upper body extension. So to get your head or neck maneuvering correctly, again with that same reference line against the lead side of my head, what you're going to want to do is you want to focus on where your chin moves, okay, relative to that line. So you'll see that if I do it correctly, my chin and my face still turn gently away from that door frame. My chin moves a little bit further away from the line of that door frame, but the upper part of my head will stay, for the most part, still against that door frame or that line, okay? So you can focus on the chin moving away from the line, your face turning away from the line, but the upper part of your head still staying against that line or that door frame. Okay, so it should look a little bit like this. instead of if you were to tilt your neck too much into the trail side, your entire head or your ear would move away from that door frame. So overall, I think it's really important for specific players that when they learn to kind of maneuver their bodies or want to make certain changes, if they don't really focus or have never focused on their movement of their neck before, then it can really allow them to physically make those changes.
Okay, thank you guys so much for watching. Now, if you have any questions about what I talked about, you can leave a comment down below. You can be sure to follow me on my Instagram at Jonathan K. Moss if you want to inquire about my online lessons. I will also leave a link to my website in the description box below, just so you can see all the details. And if you have some extra time, I would encourage you to watch this video next. And it's a great video going over some other ways that you can gain more mobility in the swing.